We'll get started in just another minute. I see people still signing in. All right, everyone, we're going to go ahead and get started. Good morning. I'm Sarathel Burgess Burnett, Deputy Commissioner here at Children's Services Division. Really happy to be with you on a pre-Friday. Want to go ahead and get moving. We've got quite a bit that we're going to do today, including a presentation training from Vera regarding the application. So just want to get started, just reminding everyone, go back one for me, Mara. The mission here is working with community partners, and we connect Chicago residents and families to resources that build stability, support their well-being, and empower them to thrive. Every one of the divisions here at DFSS works under that same mission, and that's our goal. Now go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and jump into the items that I'm going to cover today, and then we will progress forward. So good morning again. Happy Wednesday for me and for those of you who have federal dollars, who have Head Start, Early Head Start, Early Head Start CCP. We received our 45-day notification yesterday for our FA2, which will begin on June 3rd, 2024. So we will be hosting several meetings with all of you. We will be coming to see many of you and working with you as we get ready for this review. We've done a federal review FA2 before with our expansion grant, and now it is the turn of those of you who have Head Start, Early Head Start, and CCP. Lots of work to do between now and June 3rd, so just know we're going to be really, really busy over the next few weeks. CARES update, just wanting to make sure everyone understands where we are with the CARES system. All of the build out has been done except the final pieces of CCAP, which they're doing UAT testing and doing a couple of updates to that side of it, meaning the CCAP enrollment and billing section of CARES. But with that said, we are now effectively utilizing CARES only. HR and all the other modules are sitting in the CARES system. We've been doing a lot of training and trying to make sure that everyone is ready to move forward and do their due diligence in the CARES system. And just want to say to everybody, there's no going back. It's now CARES and no more COPA. Very soon, the only thing we'll be using COPA for will be archiving. We won't be utilizing that system at all, which means that your staff and others very soon will no longer have access to that system. So just want to make sure that everybody is working to do everything that they can. I know Libby is, I believe, on from Catalyst. Libby, if you're on, if you can unmute, you can go ahead and talk about the survey that you want to put out.
Hi, yes. Thanks so much to everyone who's participated in training thus far. We are putting together a survey to reach out and get your responses on whether or not you feel prepared to move into CARES in terms of the training you received. If you've been unable to participate in training or haven't been able to find a slot, I urge you to respond to the survey so that we can understand the need and be able to open up and offer additional courses and resources for you. So watch for that coming soon.
Thanks, Libby. So one other thing, I have had staff inform me that agencies were moving classrooms, and I need to say moving classrooms is extremely disruptive in multiple systems. CARES one, if it's a federal program, it impacts what's in the Head Start Enterprise system. It impacts everything that we have because everything aligns back to the classroom where children are being served. And so if you want to move a classroom, say, for example, you're in classroom A and you want to go to B, we need to be informed because we need to then go through every one of our systems and make that update. If there's a misstep in that, then, for example, we're getting ready for the FA2 federal review. When they go into the Head Start Enterprise system and start pulling out information, they're going to be pulling out the wrong information. That's a problem. Everything has to be up to date. Beyond that, for security, safety, and all of those reasons, we need to know the exact classroom that all of our children are in. If there were an emergency, we had to respond. We need to know exactly where operations are happening across the board in buildings at all times. And so if that's something that you want to do, send an email. I'm going to ask you to send that to Sheree Johnson because her team operations is under her. So that we then can do everything that we can. And you can see Angel Jones Dotson in that as well, because again, there's documents that align on the fiscal side as well. So again, just want to make sure that everybody understands if that's what you're thinking about doing, you have got to let us know. We cannot be out here without that information. We did have one of those issues when we were doing our class observation. We worked it through, but it could have really been an issue for us. So again, we have to stay on top of that kind of information at all times. I know some of you are waiting on the Chicago Early Learning RFP. I'm still waiting on a final decision on the RFP as of today. I don't have one. Therefore, I am not ready to start completing the writing on the RFP. As soon as we know more, we'll begin to communicate and have discussions with you. But right now, we don't have that information. And so I won't be able to, as I hoped, by today to give you more information about where we are. But that's not the case today. But I just wanted to not leave that out there without me at least responding to it, because I know people do want to know. So I just wanted to let you know as soon as we know more, we will definitely be back in informing you on that. You received on Friday, most of you, some of you on the call did not, but many of you did receive what I've called Cerritos Friday Nuggets. One of the things that I noted when I sent out the first one was in doing the observations for class, what we were seeing and what we have notated from my staff, if they've done classroom visits and snapshots, et cetera, that there seems to be some places where agencies are struggling, and many of those happen around transitions. We can see that, for example, in some of the incidents that occur, accidents, they're happening around the time of transitions. And what I wanted to do was give you some information that you could use, information you can share with your staff. And I wanted you to look at it and start thinking about how you can use that kind of information in-house. And we're going to continue to send information out. They will be on Fridays coming out from my email box. So look out for information coming. Again, it's just another way of lifting up some of the things that we're seeing, that we are wanting to make sure that we're keeping our hands and on the pulse of, and that if there's some resources that we can give you that you can immediately take into your programs, work with your teaching staff, your education coordinators, et cetera. We just want to get it out there and get it in your hands as quickly as possible. Doesn't help for me to have information about some of the concerns or things that's going on if we're not also helping you think through some solutions. And so we'll continue to do that. So just look forward to that on Fridays. Many of you, and I can see one question in the chat box. The doula RFP launched on April 2nd. It is due final application, everything in the system by noon on May 3rd. It can be found in the e-procurement system. And then you go on to if you go into e-procurement, it says open bids, and click on that, and that can show you exactly where it is in the system. So what we want to do is make sure that you, if you're interested in applying for doula, again, that end date for the application is May 3rd, 2024 by noon. It closes at noon, and then we start our due diligence of bringing those applications out of the system and beginning to process them for review. Next slide. So on April 9th, we did launch our application for next program year, for program year 24-25. It is open, parents are applying, but I also want to note for those of you, because I do know that you operate programs year round, the application is still available on that same site for current year. They can just pick which one they're actually applying for. Again, it is open. We right now are looking at the number of applications, but I just want to remind you, everyone on the call, that if you're funded by DFSS, you must be using the Schoolman application. It is mandatory for all of our enrolled children. Going through that system generates the CPS ID number. So if you have state dollars, it is required. Your children cannot be counted. As an example, there's about 680 children without a CPS ID that we're not able to actually turn over those records to CPS because they don't have that one identifier. We cannot go through that another program year because what that means is that our numbers are down. Thanks for putting that in, Sheree. If our numbers are down because simply about applications, that's a problem. We've been in this process of applications for several years now. This should be a part of what everybody does, which is making sure that their families are enrolled in that application system. It immediately generates that CPS ID number, but what that also does is it gives something to the parent, which is an ID number, whether that is a 6-week-old enrolling or a 3-year-old enrolling in a preschool classroom. That CPS ID will follow them through the K-12 system as long as they're in a CPS school. It won't change. It will be the same number. It also gives the parent information that helps them as they're transitioning from early learning in our programs over to CPS programs. And so it is mandatory that we do this. There's going to be a training that's part of today as well. But I want to make sure that everybody knows that it is not optional for the children enrolled in our programs. We have to have those applications. Again, I'm sitting here and I've been going back and forth for months with CPS where I have 680 records that cannot be submitted to CPS. That also means that that number of applications cannot be submitted to the state of Illinois. So our numbers are off. And the governor is put out his cry to make sure that everybody understands the value of early education across the state, making sure that everybody understands that this is key, including putting money into it and increasing the amount of money that we have across Early Childhood Block Grant, but also CCAP. The numbers that we get comes because we're doing these application systems. So I can't stress enough about how important it is that everyone is using the application system. Some stats just to give you, since it opened on the 9th, there were 7,500 preschool applications yesterday, and these numbers are from yesterday. 975 of those parents had identified CBO sites for their applications. There were 200 applications for infant toddler programs, and then there were 3 prenatal applications in the system. We track the numbers on a weekly basis, trying to keep up with where they are. And we're going to be looking at our dashboard. That dashboard will help us be able to look to see exactly what community areas, for example, where we're getting numbers of applications, where we're not getting numbers of applications. And then we work with our community partners to go out and help us with recruitment in specific communities. And so this all links together to our supporting you in your enrollment process. And so if you have questions about it, again, after today, we're definitely here for you, but there is a training included in today's session. So I'm going to get off of my soapbox about the application, and I will be answering a couple of questions that I see in the chat. Also coming up on the 23rd, there is a citywide cross training called Let's Work Together. It is April 23rd, 2024 at UIC Center East from 8:30 to 3:30. If you have not gotten any information about it, we will definitely make sure that we share the flyer. But the cross training, there's going to be individuals talking about all the different kind of support services that are out there for children and families across Chicago. And it is a cross training for us all to be talking together, but also an opportunity to hear from parents about how difficult this system really can be, because it is not an interconnected system across all of the different service providers. And so we will be talking about that at that training on April 23rd, 2024. So I'm going to turn it over now to Sheree so that she can go ahead and talk to you, and I will come back and answer other questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. Good morning, everyone. Sheree Johnson, Manager of Program Operations and Quality with Children's Services, also the liaison for early learning, recruitment, and enrollment at the DFSS facilitated family shelters, housing new arrivals. So providing you guys with our monthly update regarding where we are with our new arrival recruitment efforts. So as of the 5th of April, we have 1,287 children aged 0 to 5 in shelter. Just to provide some context, I like to provide the previous month numbers. So for the month of March, we had 1,631 children aged 0 to 5 in shelter. So we know that children and families are moving in and out of shelter, in which right now the numbers are decreasing. But again, it really is contingent on the number of buses that are arriving into the city of Chicago. But as of right now, as of the 5th of April, we had 1,287 children in shelter. For those of you who would like to support efforts with donations to shelters, going through the Amazon wish list, we have specific items that each of the shelters are requesting in support of families. Additional information can be found at that link that's on the bottom of this particular slide. But we welcome, any shelter donations that anyone would like to, support with the families. Next slide, please. So to date, as of the end of March, we have enrolled through DFSS enrollment and support efforts. We have enrolled nearly 700 children aged 0 to 5, pregnant moms included, home visiting services included. And we thank you, we thank you, we thank you. We know many of you are doing your own independent efforts. You may be working with families who are housed within your own communities. But these numbers are reflective of those agencies who, through collaborations with DFSS, have gone on site to provide services and supports to families in shelter. So to date, we are nearing the 700 children enrolled mark here through your efforts. So again, we thank you. I'm reminding you all that recently in the month of March, the city of Chicago and the Chicago Department of Public Health, we've been talking about various health scares that have taken place in the city, measles being one. So what we know is that 2 of the family shelters facilitated by DFSS did have an exclusion in place where children under the age of 6 were to be excluded from care. And those 2 shelters were Halsted Shelter as well as Inn of Chicago. So as of this past Monday, Inn of Chicago is no longer on exclusion, which means that those children who are under the age of 6, they have received their full MMR vaccination. They've, remained out of care for those 21 days post second vax. So they are now okay to return back to programming. So those of you who have children who you recruited and enrolled from Inn of Chicago, those children are clear to return back to programming. As for Halsted Shelter, those children are still on the exclusion list, meaning that they have been vaccinated for their second MMR vaccination. However, once they have their second vaccination, they have to wait 21 days post that second vaccination before they are deemed as immune, upwards to 97% immune for MMR. So we just want to make sure that, again, children remain safe, children in your current care remain safe, and that we, as best as we can, try to control measles from further spreading in the city of Chicago. Next slide, please. And here is just our general overview of where we are with children in shelter. So as of the month of April, we have 11 family shelters, which you're seeing listed here. Each of these shelters, again, house families. There is a separate pool of shelters that DFSS facilitates that supports new arrival adults. So those would be single adult shelters, and we have roughly maybe 12 of those shelters that house only adults. But here on this screen, we're only talking about the 11 family shelters listed there by address and community area. And we've also broken down the number of children according to age, also number of pregnancies, and total number of children that are present in each of those shelters, equating to that 1,287 number that we just spoke about. If any of you are interested in going on site into a DFSS family shelter for recruitment and enrollment, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I know a number of you have already reached out. There's been a lot of moving parts here in children's services, and new arrivals is a heavy lift on its own. But we have had to wait for some additional guidance and support from CDPH, and just ensuring that we have everyone safe, everyone involved, your staff, shelter staff, everyone. Our goal, of course, is to ensure safety. So there has been a slight delay, but my goal is to provide updates to those of you who are still waiting, have that update to you by close of business tomorrow. A lot of you have already emailed you to let you know what your status is. But if there are any new interests or any current interests, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. My email address is there on the screen. Are there any immediate questions that I can answer for anyone? Feel free to unmute, or you can drop them in the chat. Seeing none? Okay, we can proceed. You can drop them in the chat or reach out to me directly. Thank you.
Good morning, team. Angel Jones Dotson, Manager for Program Admin. I just have 4 quick reminders. Please remember, if you have state funds, your budget revisions are due May 15th. I'm sorry, I gotta put this shameless plug in for my fiscal community of practice, which happens with Claridine every 3rd Friday. Self-assessments for agencies are due May 15th. Please be on the lookout for trainings on ECBG budgets and the CSD updates. And please always be on the lookout and read your CSD updates, as they always have good tidbit information. And now for our presentation.
Let me jump in really, really quickly. Go ahead and bring that slide down. I know you need to put up. Thank you. Again, back to training. Libby has already stated that they're going to put out a survey for training. One of the things that I want to make sure that all of you are doing is looking across your organization for staff that will be utilizing CARES to make sure that they have been trained and again are ready. So when you're responding to the survey, don't just look at it for yourself or just one other person. Please look at that and make sure that you're doing it across your organization. We're at a point now where everyone, regardless of role, HR, if you're home visiting, if you are an admin, whatever role you have where you're going into this data system, they need to be trained. And so I want to make sure that everyone is looking at that survey that's going to come out and respond to how it's been and what your needs are. We can continue to do some training into the month of May, but we need to know specifically what topic areas are specifically needed so that Catalyst, Libby, who's on the call, can be specific and they're planning for those trainings. One other piece, and we've said it before, on the hub, when you sign on to CARES, there is a place where you are able to go into the hub where you can get all of the trainings and all of the information that has been done thus far. So you are always available, information is always available to you on trainings. You can look at trainings that have happened. You can look at the videos. You can get some of the self-paced training tools and modules. So information is there and is going to remain. It is going to be moving over, and I'm going to put some information up towards the end of the meeting over where you will be going very soon to get some of your information. But right now, again, as that survey comes out, I just can't say it enough that everybody needs to be looking across your organization at your needs for additional training and how things are working for you. Thank you.
All right, we're passing it over to Jackie from Very Creative.
Hi everyone, I'm Jackie Marshall with Bear Creative. I'm going to do the application training today. I did drop a link in the chat. If you have other staff that would like to take the training, they can just sign up there. We do it every single week, and it'll be virtual. Okay. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. So for the application training, I know that we've heard a lot of feedback from a few of you that it gets stuck in Schoolman or that there's just a lot of CPS questions that come up. But as Rachel mentioned, since it is now mandatory to go through the Schoolman application, we are going to go step by step. It's a little bit lengthy. You will get the presentation after this call. so that you can refer back to. Always open to additional questions at the end. If you can just hold any questions that you may have. If you need clarification on anything, feel free to unmute or put in the chat if I can explain anything further. So there are 3 ways for families to apply. They can either apply online by themselves, over the phone with the hotline, or come in person with you and sit down and have you go to the application with them. As Rachel mentioned, you can apply to every program on the website. So you can do prenatal, 0 to 3, or 3 to 5, depending on the date of birth that is placed in the application. It will automatically populate what program the child is available for. And there are 5 steps to apply. In previous years, we said that there were 3, but in order to include the expiration of the program, we have extended it to 5. So step 1 is exploring, whether that means calling the hotline to see what's in their community or just looking up at the website for the family themselves. So exploring where they would like their child to go, actually applying, accepting the seat, because whether they're on the wait list or have been automatically given a seat, they still have to go through the steps of accepting. And what does that look like? It means going into your site to verify their documents and finally enrolling. So I want to go through like 3 parent journeys because there may be different parents that come into this in the space with you all that either they have never applied and they're looking to begin the application process with you, or they have started the application by themselves online and somehow got stuck and they're now coming to your organization to help them complete the application. Or the last parent journey is a parent that has completely applied and is just now waiting to get an update from your organization. So we'll get started first with the parent that has not touched the application. They may have not even been on the Chicago Early Learning website before, and they're just coming to get all the assistance. So this is the homepage of the Chicago Early Learning site. If you have not looked at it in a while, I would highly suggest just going through all of the tabs, reading the information. There was quite a bit of updates that happened between last year and this year before the application was live. So I would, again, highly suggest looking through that community-based page, look through the FAQs, the about, the location. That way you can help parents navigate the website as well if you are possibly on the phone with them or they just have additional questions that you may not have answers to. So to begin the application, you would click on this Enroll Now button, and it'll automatically take you into Schoolmint. Again, want to assure you, although it does have GoCPS, this is the Chicago Early Learning application site, and you are in the right place. So this is the screen that will show up. If a parent, just a thing to note, if a parent has previously logged on and tried to either if their child's 4 years old, let's say they did it last year, they did the application, or they at least attempted to, but they have already made an account, the system will require them to log into the account using the original password that they created. And that's only if they're using the same email. So let's say Susanna comes into your organization and she says, no, I've never applied. I've never been on the application before, but you try and put in her email and the system alerts you that there was already one that was created under that email. That means that she has indeed made an account and you have to use that same password. And this is potentially an issue if you all are creating or completing the application for the parent and you don't have access to reset the password using that family's email. So I would say the best way to get around this is to just create a new account using a new email address. However, if you do have a family that, they're very good with their email, they can check it. They're like, oh yes, I did actually create an account. You can click this button here, which says can't find account. And if the family has access to it, they will get an email. And this is once you click can't find the account, this is what it takes you to, the account recovery. You'll put in the parent's first name and last name, click account lookup. And if they do have an account with Schoolmint, it will send them an email. And this is what it will look like. So if they receive that email, it'll let them know, this is actually the one that you use for the account. And then they can get in contact with you and let you know. However, in order to get around this, I would just suggest if the system boots you out because of the email, just create a brand new account. Ask the family for an additional email that they may use, or they can create specifically for the application. And so in that case, you would just put create an account. And it'll take you here where you can put the guardian's first, last name, preferred language, email, and password here. They'll also have to enable either SMS text message or email notifications. They have to choose one. I would suggest if the parent is not checking email as often, that they click both SMS and email. That way they can continue to get their notifications. So once you are in, or the parent is in sitting with you for the application, it'll just require them to add a student so they can click get started. If they already have a child enrolled either in CPS or in another CBO, it should have their child's name already listed, and they will just add another child. Also, as Soreto said, if you're applying for preschool for the current school year, this is the location where you can choose to apply to the 2023-2024. You just have to ensure that the correct year is selected. And then the first slide that comes up, which has, it's all about CPS, which I think a few CBOs get stuck at. It's just a student lookup. So because once you put a child in the application, it automatically creates a student ID number. The system is basically wanting to find that child. That way there's not a duplicate. So if the student has never been at CPS and never enrolled in a CPS school, you would just click no and then continue to student information. And then you will begin your application. This first page is also just confirming the child's date of birth. That way it'll populate the correct, whether infant toddler program they should be involved in, or doula, or whatever the case may be. And this is the screen that pops up after, dependent on the date of birth provided in the previous slide. And then we begin the actual application process. This year it is much more condensed. It's only 12 steps versus 18 or 19 steps that it previously was. And this is all general applicant information. So you'd put the student's name first, their address, multiples. So if a child is a multiple twin or triplet, you would mark that here. If they are students of CPS, just want to mark that here because you will have to have the CPS ID, and you won't be able to move forward without it. So if they're not a multiple or not CPS students, you will have to mark that. Otherwise, it will not let you move forward. Same with siblings. If they have siblings in a CPS school, they'll ask for the sibling's name, date of birth, grade, and that CPS ID. And this is because when the child does go over to CPS for kindergarten, there is a sibling preference. So it'll automatically mark that in the system who their sibling is for future enrollment. And then we go into parent or guardian information. It'll also ask if the parent is married or single. If they're married, it will ask for parent number 2's information. And then household size. So they do ask for family size as well as household size. And this is just family sizes, including all persons living in the same household as the student, whether it is their grandma, their cousin, whoever the case may be, and then the household size as well. And it states that these factors are not, they're not factors in the child's enrollment or, getting accepted into their seat. And if they live in a group home or a veteran or active military. And then for family income, this is also a place where a parent may get stuck if they're filling it out or they just don't have access to their W-2s and they're just guesstimating. They are able to add all income, whether it's annual, quarterly, monthly, semi-monthly. They can add that frequency here, add the amount. Again, if they don't have access to their pay stubs or whatever they may need, it may be a guesstimation. And this is where it's really important when they verify to ensure that that amount is correct. as well as income type. Sorry here. Income type that may be Social Security. There's a whole, once you click that, it's a whole list of disability, whatever the case may be, of how they receive their income. And it'll populate here. If they do not have any income, you can also mark that. Just mark no income, the amount is 0. It will allow you to move forward with no income, but for verification, depending on the CBO itself, they may require you to provide some sort of letter or proof that there is no income in the household. And then we go to program selection. So if the parent is coming directly to your school, that means that they know exactly where they want to go. They don't need to choose 5 school options. If it's ABC daycare and they want to go there, you can just type the name in. However, when you first get to this slide, it's going to populate by proximity to the parent's address. So it'll give the first top CPS and CBO schools. It'll let you know what kind of school it is right here. And that's just by proximity until they either filter or put in a school name. So you can utilize the search school again to type in El Valor or whatever the CBO name is, and then you can just click here and it'll automatically carry that over to the next slides. If the parent is, at home filling this out, they may click on a few. They have up to 5 choices to make for their application, and then they can rank them by top priority. You can also filter and sort. And this is what it looks like if they only want to do a CPS school, if they only want to do a CBO school, half day, full day, they are able to filter. Again, this is solely if the parent is doing the application by themselves and not sitting in front of you or you doing the application for them. They can do map view, which it'll show where their home address is and then the closest CBOs to their home. If they do have multiple schools that they're ranking, it'll show here and they will be able to select which is their first, second, third, fifth choice. And then lastly, moving into signature, if you are doing it on behalf of the parent, you would just mark admin. If the parent is doing it themselves, they would just sign and click here as an electronic signature. And then it's going to give you a full review of all of your answers. Really important to go through if you're completing the application on behalf of the guardian, ensuring that the child's name, address, everything is spelled correctly. Because once you do hit submit, you will not be able to make any edits. If a parent does have a multiple or a younger child that they're wanting to also enroll in the CBO, they can add a student here. I know there's a lot of chats. Not sure if we want to hold Sarita Mara until the end or if we want to address any of them here.
I've answered a couple of them. If you can answer those around parents and difficulties, go ahead and do those, and I'll keep watching to see what else comes in. Jackie?
You're muted, Jackie.
Thank you. Thank you.
So sorry about that. I'm trying to find that chat that you're referring to, Sarita. Oh, okay. Some of the parents are having difficult time finding our school on the Chicago Early Learning website. If you can give me or drop in the chat the name of that school specifically, I can put a ticket in there for that. We have heard of a few parents saying that their local school is not coming up, and that is just like a ticket that we have to put in with CPS. Sorry, having some difficulty here. All right, can you all see my screen still?
Yes, it says editing application.
Sorry about that, having some internet issues on my end. So editing applications, this is for the parent that comes in. They went through half of the application and they're saying that they need to either edit, something that they have already put in, or basically just complete the application. And so you would go in under Schoolman admin. This is the URL directly. And you would click on sign in with Chicago DFSS. If you do not have the login, Craig, if you can possibly put in the chat the email that they would reach out to if they do not have that admin login.
Will do.
Thank you. And it'll take you to this site where you can use that login and password. It is automatically going to take you to student applications. Here it has quick filters. I'll go over this a little bit later as well. I would suggest putting standard view. This is the way that all of the students are populated on this grade. So once you click on standard view, you can type in the student's name in the search box, and it'll allow you to see their application. And again, this is only if the parent has not submitted their application yet. You will be able to make changes to their address, to their student's name, and basically help them complete the application. Parent journey number 3, this is for the parent that has already completed the application. Again, you not being able to make any edits anymore, you will have to call the hotline, or the parent will have to call the hotline in order to make those edits. But you will be able to let them know that you see them on the back end. You can accept their seat or decline their seat. So this is going a little bit into what you all should be able to see on the back end access. Again, rapid identity, if you do not have the login, that email is actually csdsupport@cityofchicago.org. But at this point, everyone should have the login for that. Schoolment is where you will go to be able to see everyone that has applied to your site. And this is, there is a huge decline here because this is for the 2024-2025 applications. I'll show you in just a minute, but you are able to search through 2023-2024 versus the new school year. So right here, you would just be able to toggle between the two, depending on the numbers that you are trying to search or the student names that you're trying to search. Again, for 2024-2025, we are in the initial application period. So that means that ends April 30th, but that means that parents are not getting offers or waitlisted yet. That won't happen until about May 22nd. And between the period of April 9th and April 30th, that is who will get a live offer by May 22nd. And so all of you all will have to go in on the back end and accept that seat. I will go into that in just a moment. But this is basically the screen that you should see for all the applications. Again, if you click on applications and click on standard view, all of the names will populate as this. These are student names will be here. I did close them off just for the privacy of the parents and the families. But this is basically what it will look like. It'll give you the category, the program, and the grade. If you do want to click into the file of that student, you would click on this little person here. And it will give you the guardian's information. We have heard from a lot of CBOs saying, well, I can't contact the family because I don't have the guardian's parent information. And so that is how you get to it. You would just click on that little person. Again, this is blocked out solely for privacy, but it will populate the student's name, first and last name, the guardian's information, phone number, address. And all of that will be here. That way, if you do want to contact the family and let them know that you have a seat available. You can call them directly. If you go back to the dashboard, this is how you navigate between the application, students, and dashboard. If you click back on applications, you can view results and options. And it'll automatically take you into Banyan. Here you can accept offers, you can export the student lists, update your capacity, and complete verification. So first we'll go through view early learning results. You will have to put in your agency name as well as the program. Again, this was for 23-24 because it's not populated yet for 24-25. So keep that in mind as we go through these next steps. This is for the current school year. So there are a total of 9 accepted into this specific program, 1 on the wait list. And it'll just give you a summary of that. If you want to export all of the students so that you have that information, you can export it here. If you click on details and notes, this is what it will take you to. Again, this is blocked out, but it will give you the child's address, age, the household income, parent or guardian information. And this allows you to know whether the verification is complete. So if a parent applies, they come into your site and want to verify, once you have verified address, age, income, you would just click these yes, click on verification complete. And you can also do notes. So let's say you left a voicemail for the family to make an appointment to verify, and you just want to leave that for your staff. You can also do that here. If you go back to the dashboard and you click on DFSS capacity request, this is where you're able to adjust your seats. So if the capacity is higher in Schoolmint than it actually is for your site, you may give out a seat that does not exist. And if it's lower, you may put a child on a wait list when a seat is actually available. So we want to just highlight the importance of having your capacity most up to date. And so when you click on that capacity, this is what it shows you, how many seats you have allocated for each category. So here there are 60 seats in Head Start, Early Head Start, and then it shows you how many are actually offered, how many have accepted, and in this row, it'll show you how many you have left over. You can change that number. So let's say in Head Start, Early Head Start, it's actually only 50. You would click on this pencil button to edit. You would add the proposed new capacity here and submit. It does not happen right away, so you won't see that new number here once you have adjusted it. It does have to go through an approval process. So once that is approved on the back end, you will see it populated in your capacity on Banyan. It'll also give you a history, so it'll tell you that it went from 4 to 10, who approved it, and just be able to provide that for all categories. If you click on stop mode for any of these categories, it will no longer allow parents to get in an application under that category. So it will no longer allow applications for Head Start, Early Head Start, or over income. And that is only if you click on stop mode. If you unclick it, you'll still be able to accept those applications. If you click on view results, it's going to take you back to the student list of, who has been offered a seat, who has accepted, and who you all have declined. I want to just put here that I would highly suggest you viewing roles all versus like viewing 15 at a time, because at the last page here, it has like 31 pages. So on the last page, it'll show you the students that have not yet been accepted or declined an offer. And so if you are looking at, only 15 at a time, I just want you to keep that in mind, that you'll have to continue going to the last page in order to see who still has an offer waiting. And then if you go into notes, just as I mentioned before, You can leave notes in here. You will not be able to verify a student unless they have accepted that offer. But you can leave notes here if you call the family or whatever the case may be. Again, to verify, once that child is accepted into the program, you're able to verify address, age, income, and STLS status, ensuring that you click verification complete, and it'll let you know in that list. It'll give you 3 check marks once that family is verified. And you want to ensure that all the families are that have actually been accepted into your program. Again, I know there are a few questions in the chat, but anyone have any questions that you want to go off mute for, and myself or Craig can answer for you.
So I'll read, but if you unmute, you can go ahead and ask your questions. There's one who's saying, and another person is saying, me too. Several kids still in the waiting list for this school year. They've not been able to move them. And so the question previously was, do we have access to the wait list to see those applicants that have applied? But so there's 2 different things going on. They're on the wait list, but they're not able to move them, and also trying to figure out how to see those that are on the wait list.
Craig, I'm not sure if you want to take a stab at that question.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
I mean, there's a couple of reasons that the children are waitlisted in Schoolmint, but it's all the same reason, which is that there isn't a spot for them. So when you were looking, Jackie showed you a bit ago the matrix where you assign the capacity at certain levels of eligibility. So if a child submits an application and then the eligibility is run, and there's something about the child's file that doesn't fit the line that you put the slots on. For example, they're over income for the income level indicated by that slot, or there is missing information in the application. So even if a family has no income, they need to put something in the income section. No income is an option for income type. But if the section is blank, they don't get any points for that. So if those things happen, it's incomplete or they're not eligible for the slot, they're going to be waitlisted. And there isn't any way for you to move them off the wait list into that slot because they're not eligible for it. There needs to be a seat available for the eligibility level of the family in order to enroll them. So if you have someone that's already enrolled, but they're stuck on the waiting list, you really need to contact the data team. That'd be myself or one of my people, Miriam, Yannette, or Jennifer, and we can take a look at what's going on with that piece. The other reason that I've seen recently that everyone applying was being waitlisted, either the system thinks, it's really the same reason, that the system thinks the site is full, then everyone who applies subsequently will be waitlisted. So if children have left, you may have dropped them in CSD Cares, but if the 2 systems don't talk to each other that well, so they will still have an offer and they will still be taking a seat in CSD Cares until you decline that offer to free up a spot to enroll another child. The other reason everyone would be waitlisted is that, as Jackie showed you a minute ago, that line of your seat capacity matrix is in stop mode. And the reason you would put a line in stop mode is that you know that you have children in the center that are not in Schoolmint yet, and so you don't want the system to give their seat away to someone else, because we do not want the situation where someone is given an offer, shows up at the center, and then is told that there's no room. So if you have children who are enrolled that are not in Schoolmint, you should put it in stop mode, and then everyone will be waitlisted. Then, of course, you need to add the children that you have enrolled into Schoolmint and then turn the application back on. And in some cases, I've seen the site was put in stop mode, but then no one remembered to take it off once the kids were on the waiting list, so they stayed on the waiting list. So those are really the reasons. It's all the same reason. It means there's no seat being given out.
Correct. There's also questions about enrolling a family, a parent under the doula program. Probably going to be the same question for a pregnant mom. And so either we can send that, or if that's something that someone can answer, how to enroll them in CARES.
Yeah, I answered it in the chat, but I can say just something about that. When you do a pregnant mom enrollment, you are creating on the application a child, and then what applications you can use in Schoolmint is based on the birth date of the child. So an issue that people have been coming up against is that right now it's already April and we had a lot of pregnant moms who were served already in the program but haven't been put in there. So if you try to put them in now and you put in the child's actual birth date, you will not be given the option of a prenatal enrollment. It's only going to let you apply to birth to 3 programs, because which enrollment you can see is based on the child's birth date. So if you're trying to do this for someone who was already served, you need to make up a fake birth date in the future. So that means today it's April 18th, it's got to be April 19th or later, so that then you'll be given the prenatal option. You can fix it later, but in order to submit the application, the birth date needs to be in the future.
There's another question of how can the number parents are given a call, the site be changed?
Thanks, Jackie. Craig, can you respond to that one?
Yes, I'm looking it up. I don't
Okay, thank you.
remember it offhand, but it's in the top left corner of chicagoearlylearning.org. So that means it is 312-229-1690. And I'll put that in the chat too, but it's 312-229-1690.
So the question about parents not having an email address, they do need the email address. Is that correct, Craig?
I believe you can submit an application with a phone number instead, as long as that's a cell phone that is text enabled and you've checked the box that says what do you call it? Accept SMS messaging, or yeah.
Thank you. This Monique's question has to do more with the CARE system. How do you remove archive staff or children from the classroom that are no longer at your site?
In CSD Cares, right now during the program year, I don't believe we have an archive function. So for the relation that is tying either the child or the teacher to the classroom, it's called a class relation. It's CR dash and there's a number. And when you edit that, there's a start date and an end date. So the end date is automatically the end of the program year. Right now, if they were put in there, all of them have an end date of September 1st. So if they leave before then, you go in there and you edit the date to indicate their last day of class. And once it's past that date, they no longer are holding a spot or blocking anybody else from taking a spot there.
Looks like we've answered most of the questions. If we missed any, we will be going back through the questions and trying to make sure that you have your answers as we move forward. Wanting to make sure again that all children have a Schoolman application generating that CPS ID, linking them to all of the systems that are required for enrollment and progressing forward. Making sure again that your teams are trained, able to use all of the systems from the Schoolman application where you can help parents enroll into the application system, all the way through using all of the different modules in the CARE system. And so it's really imperative that we are all moving in the same direction. We're here now. I know it took us a while to get to a point where I'm even saying that we have CARES modules all built out and ready to go, but we're here very soon, and we're in negotiation now of when we're going to actually go to CARES being archive only. It will happen sometime over the summer. So know that we will be moving forward, and you will no longer have access into the COPA system, excuse me. We're going to move to archive only. Well, no application, no anything will be linked to that system. And so we're here now. It is really imperative that we all get trained, that we're all ready to go. New school year starting very, very soon, and it will definitely be your only system of record moving forward. So again, I want to thank you for all of what you're doing already. I know it's a lot, quite a few questions in the chat, quite a few responses, and we'll be gathering all of that and getting it back in. So I'm going to go ahead now, turn it back to Mara for the next presentations. Thank you.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Just giving the expenditure and finance updates as it relates to the both federal and state programs. So with Head Start, we're at 18%, Early Head Start, 14%, Early Head Start CCP, 15%, Early Head Start expansion, 15%. We should be a bit higher on those. So please remember to invoice monthly. Next slide, please. Also, ECBG 48% and CCAP at 50%. So guys, please invoice as often and as directed in your contracts. Next slide. Head Start, fiscal year 24. Invoices through March 31st period covered should be submitted at this time. As it relates to childcare, invoices should be submitted through March 31st period. All right. PI, PFA, invoices should be submitted through March 31st. Important upcoming dates, add to your calendars. A budget revision deadline is May 15th. So that's right around the corner. Fiscal year 24 invoice submission deadline is July 22nd of 24. Please do not wait until the final deadline. Advanced preparation and submission is strongly encouraged in the event there are any deletions and or rejections. iSupplier, please make sure your insurance is up to date because it will hold up your contracts, invoicing, and payments. Keep your iSupplier contacts up to date in order to receive proper communications from our voucher audit unit during their invoice review. Per contract requirements, invoices should be submitted at a minimum monthly. Review your iSupplier frequently to reconcile and determine any submissions resubmission needs. As iSupplier training and reference materials in the link below. As always, your finance contacts as it relates to the federal programs is Laverne and Teresa Lopez. Your corporate and RTL, Laverne, Teresa Lopez. As it concerns childcare, Selena is your contact, and PI, PFA, Laverne, and Teresa. Questions and open discussions. Thank you, guys.
All right, everyone. Those were our presentations today. As always, we've always got a lot to give you on any given day that you're with us. We don't want to, we enjoy being with you, enjoy seeing you virtually, but also want to make sure that we let you know that we will be moving back to face-to-face starting next month. And if I say something incorrectly, Angel, you on here, it's my understanding that we will be at the King Center. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so we'll be at the King Center next month for our meeting, so we will get to see you up close and personal. One of the other things we're going to be doing is moving towards a much more content-based learning agenda, because we really want to make sure that we are in tune with what your needs are, but that we're bringing to you different topics that are going to be useful. So some of the things that we definitely need to dive into have to do with class outcomes, child outcomes, making sure that we're thinking about our facilities, et cetera, et cetera. And I know that there's some topics that you may want. And so my request of you is if you're thinking of some topics that you want us to bring to you here at our EDPD meeting, please shoot me an email so that I can make sure that we build our agenda with some of those thoughts in mind. We know that we build it hoping that we're giving you the information that you need, but I also want to make sure that we hear from you if there's any topics or information or presenters that you feel will be great for you to have, spend time with, get information from. We're here for you. We're here to support you. Our job is to make sure that we are working on it to your benefit, and that everything that we're doing really is to make sure we're supporting you and your support of children and families across Chicago. I'm going to stop and see if anybody has any questions or any other concerns. Let's see, there's one in the chat. Is there a new contract for PFA yet? No. As I started off, we have not gotten a full notification that we're ready for the RFP. The next RFP will be written and it will include PFA PI or federal. So based on what we're receiving, we will know exactly where we're moving and what we're moving for towards. The dates for the contracts and all of those, we will be giving you that information as we move forward once we get a final notification of what we're building out in our next RFP. So more information to come as soon as we know. We'll start having more communications with you around that. I'm looking to see if there are any other questions that we've missed. If you have something that you want to share, another question, you can unmute just in case we've missed it. And I'll give you a moment to do that.
Hi, Sarayva. Forgive me if I missed this. I was wondering when we would get the advertisement, for example, the banners and things that were sent out in the email. Do you have like a delivery date or some type of notification to let us know if we was approved for that?
So Jackie, are you still on? If so, do you have any updates on the marketing materials and banners? Not hearing her respond. I do know that we have worked with Vera Communications. They're the team that actually produces all of those materials. I do know that she had a couple of questions for me. I've responded to some questions regarding the marketing materials. So we're trying to make sure that we can get those out to you as soon as we possibly can.
Good morning. I do apologize for coming in late. This is Miss Bell from All Star Kids. I have one of your DFSS has we have a site visit this morning. Just wanted to reach out to ask about the PI reallocation. We sent it in. Can you, if you have not talked about it, can you talk about that a little bit?
When you say PI reallocation, what was your request?
Yeah, we requested 20 slots. We have PFA, but we don't have PI.
Okay.
But we did request it.
And so some of you who, when we're contracting, when we did your contracts, if we gave you only PFA, I've not gotten approval to give you a PI contract because they come out under two separate contract numbers. And so until I get an approval for that, I cannot initiate a new contract because that's exactly what it would be me starting from scratch. And so individuals who have PFA, if they wanted more, we were able to do that. People who had a current PI contract, if they wanted more PI, we were able to do that, but we could not get approval to initiate a brand new start of a contract because we're at the end of the 5th year of the current RFP.
I have a question. I apologize for also being late, but being in the center, some things came up and I had to take care of them. But my question was, in regards to the new scores, I know we have the first class scores on there, which were done on February 2nd. But I was looking for the the follow-up scores for maybe the second time they came or the third time they came. Are those going to be?
Yeah, thank you. Is this Jackie?
Yes, it is.
Okay, hi. Yes, I have been crazy busy. I am going to be doing individual emails out to you with your scores based on the outcomes of the class scores from the scoring that we did. So each agency will be receiving those. I'm gonna try, but I've got Office of Head Start with us this afternoon and tomorrow. And so I'm gonna do everything I can to start sending some of those out. So if you don't get it by Monday, then reach back out to me because I'm trying to get them out to you as soon as I can. Hopefully everybody will have them by Monday, but if you don't receive them, let me know.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Any other questions? Anyone can unmute. I'm looking in the chat box. I think we've answered. Megan, your question, a PFA through the summer. I do know that there was a request that was given from our fiscal team asking previously if organizations operated all the way through the summer, and many agencies did reply about their end date. And we did make some adjustments on contracts. If you have not, Megan, did not respond to that, if you can reach out to me via email, letting me know what agency you're with. And I don't know if I can do anything with the contract now, but I'll definitely make sure that we're talking about it in iteration.
We did receive that and we did indicate, and I do believe that everything was adjusted for that.
Okay.
So I guess the main question is, moving forward, is our end date the end of June, or we will continue to service PFA students through the summer?
Based on what you gave us as far as your
Yes.
information around when you're ending your program.
Okay.
If you're going through the summer and that's the information that we received, then look at your contract because your contract then will cover that month.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
So Rachel, this is Miss Bell again. I'm going to give you a call because we received and this is about PI again. We received a application and it asked us to fill it out and we sent that back in. I'm not sure what I'll call you. That's okay. I'll call you.
No, go ahead and give me a call and we can talk it through.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, you're welcome. All right. Hearing no one unmute right now, and I'm looking at the questions. Look like we've covered them in the chat. If we are ready, we're going to close out and be able to give you some time back. So I just want to remind you that when you're signing into CARES, that there is a place where you can sign onto the digital hub is what it was called. And there's a lot of information there, the trainings and everything. I am going to go to an email right now, as I promised, to talk to you about what we're going to be doing going forward as far as knowledge, so that everybody understands. And I will be sending you this information. But what I want to do is just talk you through a little bit about what our plan is going forward for how you're going to be able to get information for two reasons. There was one question in the chat on what do we do? For example, if we hire someone new after May, where's information going to come from? And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at, a way to make sure we can get tickets into the system. So we're updating our ticketing system. And what you're going to be able to do is go in, and as we know, the CSD support at cityofchicago.org is where you can put in those kinds of tickets. As we near the end and where we are, what we're going to be using is is what's called ServiceNow. And that ServiceNow process will be a part of CSD Cares. You'll have the ability to put a ticket in there directly into the portal, and then you'll be able to get information back out of that, and it'll auto-generate and give you a reply. It'll give you a number, it'll move through the operation system, it'll be tracked, and all of that's going to be done so that we can keep up with what's going on with the tickets, and so that we can make sure that everybody is getting everything that they need. Is going to be fully automated, but you will be accessing this directly through CARES as well. And so I know sometimes you need help and you're trying to figure it out, and you're sending emails. And so what we're doing is putting this system, an automated system, on top of CARES so that you have a way to send in any questions that you have so that we can turn it around as quickly as possible. And we have people on the other end of the system that will be responding and making sure that those tickets are being processed throughout the system. I just want to make sure that you know that. Again, as I mentioned, when you're talking about people being trained on the front end of CARES, there is that knowledge base that's going to be there. It's going to be part of ServiceNow as well. But you'll be able to go in and you'll be able to get all of the training modules that have been done, where there's self-paced training, all of those tools, all of the documents that we've created throughout this entire process of building out CARES will be available to you going forward. It's not going to go away. It will go away from its current iteration of a digital hub, and it'll be accessible through ServiceNow. I just want you to know that we know that you need support beyond May, and it's not going to go away. We want to make sure that as new people come on, or as individuals need to go back for supports, to make sure if they thought they understood how to do something and they get into the system and it doesn't work the way they needed to, those pieces of information are going to be there for you. And just want to make sure that we understand this is new. This is a new system. We had COPA for many, many years. And now we're going to be moving fully into COPA. And I just need to make sure that everybody, you on the call and all of your staff behind you, feel that they are supported, have been trained, and are able to use the system on a daily basis, just as you were using the COPA system. We're here now. Again, I know I talked about the plane flying at one point, that we didn't have landing gear and all of those kinds of things. Well, we are still at 32,000 feet, but we are now in a landing pattern, and we are going to be landing that puppy very soon, and we're all going to get off of it, and we're going to move forward in early learning. I see you laughing at me, Lavetta, because we're here now. It has taken its toll on all of us, just trying to get to where we are with this new system. But we're here now. And so can't go back. All we can do now is go forward, and we want to go forward successfully with each and every one of you in this new system. I can't thank any of you enough for everything that you do every day. Spending time with us whenever we do these meetings, I know takes out of time from your busy day. We hope that you're getting something from it each time. And I just want to remind you, shoot me an email if there's some additional topics that you think would be of value, so that we can make sure as we're building out our agenda, we're adding those as well. And again, remember, next month, we're at the King Center. So look for that notification that's going to come out, because we're back face to face again. Bridget, I saw you unmute. I don't know if you had a question or you just simply unmuted. All righty, I don't see any hands.
That was an accident, sorry.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. I don't see any hands up, no more questions in the chat box. So again, I just want to thank you for all you do every day. Stay safe and be well, everyone, and we'll talk to you very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.